Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to come before you guys again. It's always nice to come out, especially this session, with the warriors, with the leaders. And I'm going to tell you how this weekend is going to go. Because right now you're all commanding officers. You now have troops behind you, people that you are mentoring and bringing forth that need guidance. They're looking for you. They're looking to you for help and information. So we're going to talk about how to get your team where you are. How many would be better off if we had 10 more people like you here this weekend? That's the idea. To get 10 more, get people just like you that want what you want and going where you're going. Now, there's a reason why the Army marches. There's a reason why it marches, because it wants to get to the battle at the same time. You want everyone to get to the battle at the same time. You do not want your infantry to get there before the artillery. Trust me. You do not want the tanks to get there before the infantry. We have to get everybody in our group now prepared, trained, organized, using the same language, the same code, to get to the point at the same time. And the language is important. When I was in the Navy in 1968, we were on a cruise in the Pacific with 2 destroyers and an aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier was an Australian carrier, and the 2 destroyers on both sides were American, and they were cruising at night. And the captain of the aircraft carrier said to his radioman, "Tell both ships that in 5 seconds we're going to turn to port." Port is left. They radioed to both guys. The both ships' radioman reported to the captain what the destroyer said, and the captain said, "Port," and the answer came back, "Right." The same language. It's important to have the same language. 84 men died when that ship turned into that destroyer and cut it in half middle of the night because of the language. And I still remember that. Be able to speak the language of your team, have a team language, a dialogue, that you know you're going the same place. So this weekend, we got 3 books that we're going to be talking about, 3 topics. First, the rope. How you organize your team. Your team has to be available to go where you're going to be going. Either they're prisoners or they're slaves. A prisoner and a slave are in the same yard. They're in the same area. They got the same wall around them, the same trouble, the same beating by master. But the prisoner is trying to think of a way out of the prison. He's trying to organize like-minded people to climb over the wall, go through the wall, or dig under the wall. But he is thinking constantly about freedom. The slave has accepted his plight as a slave. The slave is saying, my job is to be the best slave of the plantation, to get the best job for master, to work 40 years and retire broke. That's my job. He's seeking it. You cannot take a slave in with your group to try to be free. You cannot do that. They will go and tell the warden about your escape plans. You cannot throw a rope over the wall to your slaves because they think the rope is to lynch them with. They're not going to say, let's get out of here. You have to make sure the people on your team really wants to go where you're going. And you're using the same language. So this weekend, we're going to talk about what that language is. For instance, if you want to go through your troubles, we all got problems. We all have institutions that have affected us. We got things about us that we don't like and don't want. And we all can sit back and say about what we've done that's wrong. I'm going to discuss my history. I'm going to shock some of your people. They're going to be uncomfortable because my history goes into a way that society says that you and I should not talk about it. It's just my history. It's nothing personal. It's just personal. It's mine. It's unique. I have a very unique story, just like each and every one of you have a unique story. My story allowed me to experience things in my life that got me on my feet. I was injured so much I could not walk. Now I'm healed so much I cannot stop walking. I'm pacing back and forth now. And they're healing. They said I would not walk again. How am I doing? How am I doing? It's okay? Because you cannot believe anything about yourself except it's from yourself. You cannot take anybody's opinion of you. No one's opinion of you means more to you than your opinion of you. I was disabled. No, I wasn't. They said I was disabled. I was quite able. I was quite able. What you believe about yourself becomes yourself. I never believed I was disabled. 2,800 pounds of steel fell on me. 1.5 tons. It'll ruin your weekend. No, I wouldn't try if I was you. It'll ruin your weekend. I was 21, young, athletic. I led in 3 sports a year, 4 sports a year, some years. I was strong, athletic, ambitious, arrogant, self-centered, egotistical, and nothing could stop me on planet Earth. And I had 1.5 tons fall on me on purpose. Someone tried to kill me. And I went through life hating everyone that looked like him. Y'all all look familiar, man. Dang. I get it. Hating everyone that looked like him. My motivation in life was to take his life. You know, I was a competitor. You know, he tried his, he did his job. I tried my turn. I'm trying to do it next. When I got healed because I refused to allow the circumstances of my life to deal with this. And each one of your people that's here this weekend, each one of the folks that you're leading, everyone has had things in their life that has tried to destroy their life. Every person on planet Earth. And it's called fertilizer. People fertilize all over you. All this fertilizer in my life, you know? And I'm going to discuss the fertilizer with your group. I'm going to discuss to them how you handle the fertilizer. Fertilizer is good for you. You know that? I just moved from St. Louis last April. This thing called winter. I spent 40 years in California, man. Winter, I mean, snow to us was a ski trip. So I moved down to Florida. I have an orange tree in my backyard. Man, an orange tree. Get there and cut an orange up and eat it. But the orange requires fertilizer. The orange itself has acid all around it. We call it the fruit of the orange. Tastes good to us. But bugs, it doesn't taste good to bugs. It's to protect the seeds. Fertilizer makes the grass grow. The grass grows to get away from the fertilizer. If I ask anyone here, what made you successful in business, in marriage, in relationships, in your church, what made you successful? You will start reciting the fertilizer you have to overthrow in your life. You start telling me the things you have to go through in life, things you overcame. You wouldn't tell me about your marriage, all the vacations you went on, all the things you brought. Your success came from your struggle through the stuff, the fertilizer in your life. But some of us are afraid of the fertilizer. Oh, it's terrible, it's bad, leave the fertilizer alone, and you will not grow. Everything you've had, from walking as a child, you got tired of falling. You didn't walk until you got tired of falling. We can discuss that too. Overcoming. A child has no fear of nothing. I saw a little girl at the airport flying in here. Mom had 2 other babies with her. I mean, living proof of why God gave babies to young people. This little boy was running around. She said, come here, and time started taking off. And she sitting down with a baby in her lap. Other kids running off. Energy, not afraid of nothing. Mother was terrified. The idea of failure doesn't exist to a child. Your child will run into a wall and bounce off and start laughing, fall out the steps, and get up there. That was fun. Let's do that again. Just nothing bounces the child. But the child knows nothing. And you have never taught your child anything the first 6 months of their life. You didn't teach the child to crawl, but it crawled because if I can crawl, I don't have to beg mama for that bottle anymore. And the child will crawl until it gets tired of crawling, and you have never taught your child to walk. Your child will stand up and fall 300 times before his first step. 300 times. And you can tell when it's time for that walk. You can tell the child's tired of falling, tired of jumping up and down, tired of being frustrated. And you can tell many of you have the picture or video of your child's first step. Because you saw it in the eyes. Oh, we're going to do this. I'm tired of this here. I'm tired of falling down. You take the seat and start laughing and beating that table and let go and start walking. And the reason they've been falling all the time is that their mind was on their behind. They let go of that table, and they think they're going to fall, so they sit down. And they sit down. You have gone through things in your life that you could have always done, but you're afraid of the failure so much, your eyes on the failure, your eyes don't know what is, and that brings your behind down. It's time that we accept the child. Think about a child. When a child learns to ride a bike, how many times do you fall off that bike? It's just time to stop. It's time for us to stop now. And right now, in this world right now, we have a superb, not a good, superb opportunity. Everybody's afraid now, folks. Everybody has seen the fertilizer. Everyone understands the problem. Nobody now thinks I can work 40 years for this company. No one on planet Earth now thinks I can work 40 years for this guy and retire great. No one thinks that they can wait and get things later. Everyone is afraid, they're concerned, they're worried about how they take care of the income, take care of you guys have been training in boot camp for years now, and your neighbors and your friends and your colleagues and your coworkers have questions now. What makes you so confident? Why do you think you're going to get through this? What are you doing that makes you think you can actually create income for yourself? Can you help me? You've been talking to them for 5 years now, 10 years now, you've been talking to them. They've been saying, Today, excuse me, what were you saying about that a little while ago? Let's discuss this now. They have seen the income just evaporate in their hands. They're seeing the opportunity evaporate in their hands. They're seeing the skyrocketing cost of everything they want on planet Earth evaporate. They are scared and ready. They're prepared. And you guys have been in the trenches, studying, grinding, hit the fertilizer, and continue to go. You've been in a position now that you are trained, educated, motivated, and now you're ready to go out here and clean up. It's called a harvest. This is perfect time for you guys. Do not get discouraged. Get encouraged, because the fertilizer is being spread all over this world right now. And you understand that fertilizer is good for you. It's good for you. So in my testimony is really simple. Everyone told me what I could not do, and no one told me what I could do. Everyone said, poor Mason, and I have a book in the back called Poverty. Poverty, it's called Poverty, It Didn't Fit My Lifestyle. I mean, it may fit yours. I tried poverty, it just didn't fit my lifestyle. It's okay for some people, I guess, but it wasn't mine. I was disabled. I was a high school blackout. Some of you may know I'm black. Been black all my life. Well, at Berkeley, I was an Afro-American, but I got over that. I was disabled, high school dropout, black, and no skills. I was a welder. I was a nuclear welder. High skilled, highly desired. Broke my back, broke my pelvis, 8 places, broke my hip. I was not bending over anymore to do nothing. And I had no hope, no career, nothing. But I had a brain. Didn't use it very often, but I had a brain. And I started looking for opportunities to learn how not to earn, learn why some people call it cash flow, and some people call it making dough. The people that call it making dough was always broke. The people calling cash flow was always on top of it. And one day I went to a tennis match on a Tuesday afternoon, and it was full of people that wasn't working. They weren't working. They had cash flow coming in through themselves, and they were not making dough. I said, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this. I cannot work 30 years, so why would I try to work for 5? When I graduated Berkeley, and everyone said I couldn't go to Berkeley, by the way. They said I could not. Everyone told me what I could not do. I got through Berkeley in 3.5 years with 4 degrees. I still had a brain. I'm studying. I'm in pain every day. Could not move anything. I had to go to school every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I was in pain. The drugs I had to take made me lethargic, couldn't hear anything. I was in pain, uncomfortable. Some professors allowed me to bring a special chair in that I could sit in and take my notes. And I would go home at night, and I couldn't party. It's kind of hard to party with a broken pelvis and broken hip. You can't dance that good. so I couldn't sleep. I could not lay down. I couldn't lay down. So all these I couldn't. So if you can't lay down, then sit up. If you can't sleep, then read. Because I couldn't sleep. Back pain was too heavy, too much. So I read. And guess what? I read all night. I read all night, every night. And I read those books, and I remembered the book, I studied the books, and by the time I realized that I was, instead of taking 12 units a year, a quarter, I was taking 25 a year, because I did the work. And when I graduated, it was very difficult to go to school. It was very difficult to go to college. It's very difficult to get the work done. It's all the difficulties. It's hard, it's tough, it's boring, it's expensive. All those things, very difficult. But it's very easy to reach out my hand and take the diploma. It was easy then. That was easy. I earned that, took the diploma. And then I went to the Department of Energy to try to get a job as an intern. And all I heard again was, they have never hired anybody look like him. I mean, what you mean, tall, dark, and handsome? What are you talking about? They have never done this. Never happened, man. It's never gonna happen. I was against people from Stanford, our rival school, Costa Bay, and Harvard. And so I became the first one that looked like me, hired, tall and handsome, that's what I mean. The first one looked like me. I started 1976. By 1981, I had been promoted 4 or 5 times, whatever it was, senior negotiator, and I quit. I gave myself 5 years, folks. You have to set plans and a goal. And this weekend, I'm going to show you the plans that I've made for myself. They got to be measurable. In your business, it has to be measurable so you can know where you are and your team can know where you are. The team can know where they are. You have to be able to see where you are with your goals. Making the goal is much, much, much more important than achieving the goal. Lay in the hospital bed with a broken back, high school dropout. My goal was to go to law school. I'm a high school dropout. I'm disabled. I'm crippled. My goal was to go to high school. And my first goal, matter of fact, little goals work. My first goal was to be able to get down the hallway and get me a glass of water out the water fountain without somebody's help. My first goal was to move my foot. My second goal was to get in the wheelchair myself. But my goal to go to law school got that high school dropout all the way to be accepted to law school 5 years later, to be accepted. But I didn't go, but get into the doorway of acceptance, I had 4 degrees in multiple. So I went to the Department of Energy. I gave myself 5 years, a goal, 5 years. My goal, 5 years, to learn what I can learn and then go out and earn. This is a study process for you guys, a study process. I met a young lady, and she met me 2.5 years later and said, where are you with your goal? I said, hey, I'm halfway there, girl. I'm halfway there. And I retired in 1981, and I have not worked since. Because I had to find a way. Some of you may not have the need that I had. I had no other choice. My guiding counselor in high school told me that I had no hope of going to college. Even though I was ready to graduate as a junior, I had no hope of going to college. And that he could get me a job down if I wanted him to. I can get a job at the shoe factory and work for 30 years and retire half broke instead of broke. It's just goal. Every time I got tired at Berkeley, you got to have the what ifs in front of you, folks. You got to have the what ifs. Every time I got tired of reading late at night, couldn't go out, couldn't get a date, couldn't go out, couldn't chase ladies, couldn't catch any of them. Just what? What's the whole purpose of chasing? Did you catch it? So I get depressed. You get upset. I'm on drugs. I'm tired, and I'm full of hatred. By the way, I hate everybody. Look like you guys. I hate everybody. Because the guy tried to kill me. That's reasonable. No, it's not. It's stupid, but still, I hate it. But every time I got depressed, every time I got discouraged, I got in my car, and I don't care if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I would get in my car, and I would drive to the corner liquor store. And I would park my car. I just watched the alcoholics sit out there on the curb, talking and philosophizing, talking. They give up on life. They give up on themselves. They have no ambition. I sit there and watch them and say, I only got two choices. And go back home and finish reading that book. Or join them. Sit down there and call the shoe factory guy and say, you got another job for me down there in the shoe factory? People will always tell you what you can't do because they know they can't do it. Or they feel they can't do it. They will always tell you what you can't do. No one told me I can do anything. No one. The high school basketball coach, when they come back and play basketball, I'm graduating. I need a quarter of gym. 1/4 of gym I needed. They could have gave I led in 3 sports a year. Can you give me a quarter of gym? No. I'll tell you the whole reason. I went to an all-white high school and an all-white conference, all-white county, and I played basketball. So they figured, back for the team. No, I'm the team. You have things in your life right now facing you. And this weekend, we're going to talk about how to deal with, how to use that to propel you through things. Everything takes motion. Everything takes motion. Right now, the planet Earth is spinning in a circle and tilting back and forth, winter, spring, summer, as it goes around the planet. It goes around the sun. And then you got the moon going around the Earth. And the sun is going around the galaxy, and the galaxy is going around the universe. Everything moves, folks. Everything moves. The mountain washes up from the shore and blows inland and raises up to meet the mountains, and the rain comes and washes it back down to the ocean again and comes back. Nothing on planet Earth or this universe doesn't move. So if everything is supposed to move, there's going to be no time in your life to sit still. No time to sit still. No time. I tried retiring. I tried that a couple of times, matter of fact. Retiring. It's difficult to retire. But sitting still, you will get sore. In that bed, they have to move me every week or so. For bed sore. I have to move. You have to move. So the people looking at you right now, looking up to you right now, those who are depending on you right now, have to see movement with you. Your army has to see the movement. Make your goals. Make your goals. Whether you make the goals or not, it's not important. Because your army has to see that the general has a plan for that hill. And everyone must be marching at the same time. And how you march at the same time is you all study the same books, read the same material, practice the same goals. We're going to show this thing 5 times a week. Whatever it is, you got to have the whole army doing it and depending on each other. How you doing, man? I'm doing great. How you doing? I'm doing great. You have to be able to call it. They have to know they're getting a phone call from you. You got to know. They're players. They look in your eyes and say, we're going to meet our goals. They promise to you. Promise to your spouse. You want to meet a goal? Tell your spouse you're meeting the goal. I'm going to show a picture this weekend. I'm saying ahead of time so you can see what it's going to be. I got a picture of my driveway that I painted myself. And a picture of my driveway that my granddaughter took. You're going to meet her outside here. The pictures look almost identical. I'm a pretty good painter, you know? Yeah, I am. Hey, ask me, I'll tell you. So the picture looks pretty much alike. The thing is, I painted that picture 23 years before I saw the house. 18 years before the house was built. The house was built 1,800 miles away before the development was even done. I saw that house and told my wife, this is our last home. This driveway. And if you see the picture, you see the house, you see that I had a vision of what I wanted, and I put it out in front of everybody. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm going. You see a picture of me on crutches in my Navy uniform, broken, skin thinning, and weak, 1971. And then you see a picture of me standing next to me addressing the graduating class of political science at UC Berkeley, 1975. The vision, the goal. There is nothing on planet Earth that can stop you but you. Period. There is nothing on planet Earth powerful enough, influential enough, strong enough to keep you from your goals except you. You can say, no, I don't think I want to. Decisions are important. It guides you. You are right now sitting here in these chairs the sole sum of your decisions. The sole sums. You decided that you're going to get this thing done. You decided you're going to take the responsibility that you see in front of you. You decided that nothing is going to stop you. So we're going to talk to you about how to go out and find people just like yourself, want the same thing you want. And then we're going to talk about the poverty, which is their fertilizer. Their fertilizer. I'm afraid of poverty. You know, I'm afraid of poverty. I just think that it's kind of hard to imagine working all your life to make somebody else rich. I'm just straight with that. The third book, thank you. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's, you know, I'm 72 years old, and I have determined in my 72 years that they belong to me. They belong to me. I'm just not capable. I'm not made to work for somebody else and serve somebody else to the cost of me and my family. The third book are the 7 principles that I found that laid the foundation of my ability to face anything. The foundations. And if you like this book, I suggest that your entire army is reading it and put those principles as their principles. And then you'll find 10 folks like yourself. And those folks, they're going to pop up where you least expect them to pop up. They're going to be hungry. You're going to see the hunger in their face and their eyes. They're going to be tired. They'll be bewildered. They want to know, what am I doing wrong? It's not what you're doing wrong. It's who you're doing it with. It's who you're doing it with. If you got slaves in your camp trying to be free, you will never be free. You would never be free. You know, you got folks here every day. You see the talent. You see the need. You see they can make this thing work. You see them. You meet them. You know they can make this work. But they're afraid. They're afraid. The Navy has an old saying, go through life with anchors up. Go through life with anchors up. Sure, with anchors up, you have no control. The waves take you, the current take you. You may hit the walls, you may hit the rocks, you may hit the breakers. But it's really impossible to go through life dragging your chain behind you, dragging your anchor behind you. It's impossible. It may be harmful to pull an anchor up, but it is impossible to do that. Dragging the anchor, all those things that done wrong in your life, all those goals, all the people who did you wrong. You know, I used to sing the White Man Did Me Wrong song, blaming everybody for what I was doing in my life. Anchors. You've been beaten by your parents. Anchors. Somebody may have took the job from you and wanted you. Anchors. You drag through life. You drag through life. Anchors up. Pull them out the dirt. Put them out the water. Put them on deck. And let's get this thing and go forward. The anchor in your life is just there because it wants to hold on to your life. You got some trailblazers. You're trailblazers. You're trailblazers. That means you blaze the trail so your kids could walk the trail, so your grandkids will own the trail. When I flew here today, I flew in the St. Louis airport, came down Highway 70. I did not have to get a tractor and make me a doggone highway to the Marriott Hotel. Somebody already blazed the trail. And then they paved the trail. I was able to ride on the trail and talk to you about creating an environment that your kids will own the trail. You can meet my granddaughter out here today. And even she thinks she's grown, she's 18 years old. But I have blazed the trail for her to walk this thing and own this thing. That's what motivates us. Nothing else. You will not work this hard just for yourself. This is why we need to be married. Couples have a reason to conquer the world, each other. If you don't have anybody in your life worth dying for, you don't have anybody any reason to be living. So let's not pretend that what we have available to us is going to be forever. This country right now, this world right now is waiting, looking, eager to find you guys today. Eager to find it. Do not let them make you shy. Don't be shy about the truth that's in your heart. Don't be afraid to hurt somebody's little feelings because you tell them the truth about where they are in their life. Don't be shy to get out and embarrass somebody who you've been looked up to. They're wrong and you're right. So as we stand up this weekend, tell your folks, tell your downline, tell your people, it's time for us to make our goal to take back what belongs to us. It's an individual, personal freedom. You're not a slave, you are a prisoner. God bless you guys. It is a pleasure to be here today. I want to tell you how proud I am of you guys. It's been years since I've been here, and you guys have just grown in spirit and grown in height and grown in confidence. This nation needs, at this time, it needs folks with a clear vision of where we're going, because you know we're being misled. You know that no one has any hope. Everyone's afraid. Everyone is nervous. Everyone is scared. Tonight, we're going to talk about business success, mentality, the mentality of it. Before I get into the story, though, I want to tell you my story in case you don't know how I got up on the stage. And as I always tell every audience, my story is mine. It is not yours. It's mine. I don't need anybody relating to it. It's my story. It's how I got here. And the story is kind of tragic, and it's mean, and it's full of hatred. But do not be misled by the theme of the story. You have to be inspired by the results of the story. So I was born here in St. Louis 1,000 years ago. And I had to learn the hard way what success was about. See, success is a verb. It's not a noun, it's a verb. It is something that you are doing. It's an action word. It's something you must be feeding and growing like a child. Success is something that you have to look at as a challenge, but accept as a challenge. So I was working, living in St. Louis, moved down to Jefferson County, and had incidents. People didn't like me because I was stronger, faster, smarter, and black. All those reasons, and none of them made any difference. Success comes from service. You find tonight, you listen to this audience, listen to the people talking. They're all talking about service, service, service. Everyone you know in business or social or personality is always successful because they serve. Serving is what you guys are doing. Service is how you're going to grow. So I had to learn how to serve. I went down to Jefferson County. I wanted to graduate as a junior, and they didn't want me to graduate because it was an all-white county in an all-white school district, and they played this thing called basketball, and I was only a black player, so you understand. They didn't want me to leave because I played basketball. It's never personal. It's never personal, folks, but it's always personal. See, it's never personal for them, it's personal for you. So I go to the guidance counselor and I ask them a simple question. I'm eligible to graduate as a junior. I've lettered in 3 sports every year. I only need a quarter credit of gym to graduate. I'm pretty sure you can waive that quarter credit of gym. And the school counselor, who was a friend of mine, I knew his son. He was a friend. He looked at me and took me around his shoulder like a father, held me like a father to a son, and very lovingly and kindly and gently told me that was the most stupidest idea he had heard in his life. And he said, why would a black man want to go to college? No, it's not personal. It wasn't personal. I had beaten that man's son in everything. I had beat him academically. I beat him on basketball team for the starting position. I had beat him on the football, the baseball team. I had beat him in sports. I beat him academically. And his son also wanted to go to that same college they were building. He was just being a father trying to keep his son in the running. I didn't take it personally. I remember looking at him in my eyes. I'm thinking, he's saying these words to me. I'm thinking, my grandfather has a PhD. My uncle went into the Army as a buck private and retired as a full colonel. I have 2 uncles that are teaching. What do you mean? What do you mean I can't go to college? It wasn't personal. It didn't bother me. I said, okay, counselor, you don't want me to go to college. What you got to do with me? So about 2 weeks later, I'm walking down the steps of the gym, and I hear a discussion about the upcoming school year. And some of the players are asking the coach, are you going to start Mason? And I paused. Wait a minute, I want to hear this answer, you know. And the coach said, no, we're gonna play him a lot, but he won't be a starter because this is a senior year coming up, and you know we got scholarships for you guys that you know we want nobody to compete for. So we won't be starting basically. We will be playing him often. So I walked around to the front of the gym. I said, Coach, guess what? You will not have to worry about starting me next year. I'm leaving school. I refuse to come back for gym. I refuse because I have something I got to do in my life. See, their opinion of me meant nothing to me. Their counselor said, Mason, I can get you a job at the shoe factory with the other colored boys. Try to do me a favor. Do me a favor. I want to show you a picture of the shoe factory right now. This is a shoe factory. You got it up? That's the shoe factory now. Boarded up, closed down, everybody unemployed, and this is where he wanted me to go. This is his dream for me. This is what his position was for me. He wanted me to follow his lead, and that's the shoe factory. Today is a vacant lot. Nothing successful out of that. Don't let anyone take your dream. Thank you very much. That's what other folks want for you. I took that position as not a personal attack. It wasn't racism. It wasn't hatred. That guy was a friend of mine. He taught me the jump shot. It's never personal. It's never personal. So now I dropped out of high school. I joined the Navy the same day Dr. King was murdered. April the 4th, 1968. I caught a bus for the first time in my life. Went to recruiting on Florissant in St. Louis and walked in and said, I want out of Missouri. I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care where you send me. I don't care what you want me to do. Can I get up and get the devil out of here? And the recruiter was glad to see me. And I went to the Navy. At the time when my country was tearing itself apart, all the riots, all the shootings, all the murder, all the demonstrations, I go to the military to get away. And I go to Vietnam. And folks, you know, let me start off a second. Racism is so little in this country, it should be of no matter. It is not a pressing problem. There is nothing anyone can do to me that I have to allow. So I didn't have a chip on my shoulder. I didn't care about that coach. I didn't care about the guidance counselor. I didn't care who did not want me to succeed. With the Vietnam, did not get a scratch on me. I come back from Vietnam, and a shipmate, I'm going on vacation. Going to San Francisco on a weekend vacation. And they gave this guy, I knew this guy. I know that he was a white racist, and quite honestly, I was a black racist. Black power salute, my little afro, my pick in my head. It was really funny, a little white Navy hat, big old afro, it was funny, but. And we had debates at lunchtime. His group and my group, a bunch of little white racists, a bunch of little black racists, and we sitting down discussing things, we just upset. I thought he was a competitor. I've been to Vietnam, I knew what an enemy was. I thought we were just having fun. I mean, I didn't hate this guy. You know, it was just, for me, it was just fun. Until one day I was gonna leave on vacation, and the ship, as a joke, I had an all-black work crew. That's another whole story. And they assigned this guy my work crew while I was gonna be on vacation. And they did it on purpose. And so I was gonna set aside all the work for the guys so they wouldn't have to deal with this dude. And I ordered him, another guy, to help me move almost 3,000 pounds of steel and metal and black iron and aluminum plates, 4 feet by 8 feet long. And I stood in the middle with a steel wall behind me. I'm in the Navy on a ship, everything is steel. So the steel wall behind me, he's in front of me with 2,800 pounds, 8 pallets of steel, and I ordered him to take control of 1.5 tons of steel, not knowing he was my enemy. And I looked to my left of the gentleman helping us. I looked to my right, and I saw the look in his eyes. I had been to Vietnam. I knew that look. And I started to run. And he let go of his plates, and 1.5 tons of steel came down on me, on my left side of my body, and knocked into that steel wall, and I screamed and my eyes closed. And when I opened my eyes up, I saw him again. He looked at me, waiting for me to die. At that moment, my manhood took over. My humanity took over. I'm not going to die while you watch me scream at you. I'm going to stare you in the eyes. And my life passed before me, and I was permanently injured. They got me to the hospital, did not matter. They gave me great physical help, did not matter. I hated everybody white on this planet because of that one white guy. See, it became personal. How dare you try to kill me? He's a shipmate. We went to Vietnam together. How dare you cause of the color of my skin, or I disagree with you? And I hated everyone. I laid in the hospital bed. I could not move. I could not speak. I could not move my feet. I couldn't do anything. You heard the story before here. I go and I get to the hospital, and my only goal in life. They gave me 2 weeks to live. It's a long 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, the doctor who gave me that diagnosis is dead now. Bless his heart. I didn't want to die because I had something to do. You talking about passion and a vision? I had a vision. To put my arms around his neck and squeeze that look off his face. I want to pop his head like a pimple. Yeah. Motivated by hatred. I was healing so fast, there were doctors coming in. I was motivated. I had to do something. But here I was, folks, laying in the hospital bed now. Don't forget, high school dropout. Now permanently disabled. Unemployable. Angry and black. And no one told me that I could do anything in my life. Everyone said, you can't do anything else with your life. And folks, I'm going to tell you something. If you let anyone tell you that, you're blind. If you let anyone tell you that your life is over, I had no skills I could trade for money. I had no desire to do anything but kill this person. I had calculated very carefully that there was not enough air on planet Earth for him and I to breathe at the same time. So for my own life, I had to find this man take his life. So I go to Berkeley. My uncle lived up there in Northern California. I went to Berkeley and I tried to find my way. I knew I could not work anymore. I could not do 30 years for anybody. So I do 5. If you can't work for 30, 40 years, why start? So I went to Berkeley. First I went to Merritt College. And in Merritt College, it was the founding campus of the Black Panther Party. I didn't know that. I took a sociology class by a man named Melvin Newton, who's the older brother of another man named Huey P. Newton. And I started running with the Black Panther parties because I had a voice. They loved my voice. When I say things, people think I believe what I said. So I ran with them, and I went to Berkeley, and we started the Black Student Union, and I took 4 years of Swahili, Black history. Angry at everyone white. I'm telling you folks, honestly, I broke up with a beautiful woman because she had a white dog. Tell me I wasn't crazy. Tell me I wasn't crazy. How dare you bring that white dog in my house? She looked at me like I was a total idiot. What? Anger, frustration, anger. I had to go to Berkeley every other day because of the pain I was in. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Either take drugs to go to school drugged, or don't take any drugs to go to school in pain. Struggling through life. Boldness has to be loud. See, I had a plan. My first goal was to get my toe to move. You guys told you before, I had to get my toe to move. I couldn't walk, I couldn't move anything. My voice, the vocal cords hurt my back. The vibrations hurt my back. I laid there watching the clock, because every 24 minutes, not 23, not 25, every 24 minutes that diesel bus, 3 stories down, a block away, took off from that bus stop, and the diesel engine hurt my back. Every time I went to the x-ray department, I had to go over the slit in the elevator. I held my chest because of the pain of going. I was in pain every minute of my life. And every minute of my life, I tried to dedicate to find this guy and ending his life. Now, I had at the same time this dream about taking care of myself. I had to earn a living. I had to earn a living. How can you earn a living when you hate half the people on this planet? I went to Berkeley with 35,000 white students. And when I graduated, I didn't know one of their names. I was really a dangerous person. And maybe tomorrow I'll tell you what happened to me, but it's okay, not today, not today. You see, folks, we have I'm laying in the hospital bed. This is about talking about goals, setting your goals. I'm disabled, high school dropout, hating everybody and in pain. I'm gonna show you a picture of me on crutches and me at a podium. This picture is a graduation picture of me. I had a situation where you get a picture of me on a campus, on stage. I want to bring it up if you guys can in the back. I'm laying in a hospital bed thinking about whether I'm going to spend my life and do my life or go back to that guided counselor and see if I can get a job with the other colored boys at the shoe factory, because I had no skills. And so I had to decide. I had a plan. I had a 5-year plan. In 5 years, I was going to be walking. In 5 years, I was going to be educated. I wanted to go to law school. High school dropout, I wanted to go to law school. I did go to law school, but I got to the door of law school. That goal allowed me to finish high school, finish Barrett College, finish Berkeley. In 3.5 years, I had 4 degrees because I couldn't do anything but study. I couldn't party. I couldn't run the streets. I couldn't sleep. So I just studied and studied with the goal of going to law school. I passed the law school admission test and decided I want to go to law school. I'd rather make enough money to hire lawyers myself. So I started working at the Department of Energy. And don't forget, I hate white America. I'm full of hatred. Until one day I had to give that hatred up because that stuff on my life was like a fertilizer. People fertilize in your life all the time. You got stuff happening to you all the time. You got things, obstacles in your way. People did something to you. Either your mother beat your head or she was a crackhead. Doesn't matter what it was. Things in your life always propelling you backwards, trying to stop you. But I guarantee you today, as adults, you're looking today, no matter what problems you faced in the past, those problems made you who you are right now. If that white guy had not tried to kill me, had he not tried to put a ton and a half on me and destroy my life, I would not be standing here right now. I would have been a welder, pipe fitter someplace, working for somebody. I would not be without a job, just income. So you look at all the things that happened to me, the results were that it propelled me to who I am today. No one's opinion of you should mean more to you than your opinion of you. The difference between where I was going, was a difference between my mind and my spirit. Your mind wants you to be safe. Your mind and your heart wants you to be safe, wants you to be comfortable and not take any chances. Your spirit is fearless. Your spirit will go into the dark. Your spirit has no fear of nothing. So your heart tells you to be still and be quiet. Your spirit tells you, what's next? What's next? What's next? You have a conflict. As a child, I was talking to the ambassadors today. As a child, a mother gives birth to this little baby, and the baby depends on mom for everything. Everything. When the baby is hungry, baby cries. Baby's uncomfortable, baby she cries, and mama reacts. Until one day, with all the love and everything that child could ask for, mama provides, one day that child will struggle and squirm out of her arms onto the floor to crawl. Because success and independence is natural to us. That child knows if I can crawl, I don't have to cry to get that toy. I don't have to crawl, I don't have to cry to get that bottle. And the baby will scoot on the floor and learn to crawl and start laughing and crawling, and no one has ever told and taught a child how to walk. You have never taught a child, come on, baby, we're gonna walk one day. You're gonna walk one day. I know you're gonna, never. That child has always failed at walking, but you tell one day that child says, I'm going to walk. And they stand up and hold on to that table and wobble, and they let go of the table and they fall down. They get up and try it again and let go of the table and fall down. I heard that a baby will fall 300 times before it succeeds. 300 times. How often do you succeed, do you fail and give up? How often do people say no to you and you give up? that child, you can tell when that child is ready to walk. Some of you at home right now have photographs or videos of a child's first steps. Why? Because you can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their posture. Their mind is on the floor, they let go and they go to the floor. Their mind is on falling, let go and they fall. If you prepare yourself for failure, you're going to fail. But eventually, that child decides, I am tired of failing. I'm going to doggone it walk. You can tell their posture is different. They stand up there, I'm going to get this doggone table. They let go and hold their hands up and start wobbling back and forth because I am going to be free. If I can walk, I'm free. I can get the bottom of myself. And that's the soul, the spirit of you right now. You have never taught your child to walk, but your child's walking. And then eventually the child will come up and they will get this thing called a skates. And they fall. And they fall until they get tired of falling. And you will fall and fail until you get tired of failing. And then you start doing it. The confidence makes you walk. It's the confidence that makes you out that bicycle. It's the confidence that gets you to swim. Swimming is failure. Swimming is death. Your heart is telling you don't go in the water. Your heart is telling you don't get on the bike. Your heart is telling you don't do the motorcycle. It's telling you to be safe, be still. But your spirit is saying, we conquered crawling. We conquered walking. We conquered running. We're going to conquer whatever faces us tonight. Just sitting here tonight, the results of conquering every obstacle in your face. That's who you are. That's your spirit. But somehow at adulthood, we're scared to drive for the first time. We're terrified to drive. But you don't all drive right now. The fear that you're facing is phony and fake. Success means repeating what successful people do. So right now you sit back and you've done everything. And tonight you're here because you've conquered everything that you're facing in your life. And you're ready for the next phase of your life now. You're prepared for it. You're trained for it. You got folks leading you right now. You have everything you need. And some of you just need the confidence to make it work. What you're facing is phony. What you're facing doesn't exist. What you're facing is that guidance counsel trying to tell you that you don't need to go to college, that you don't need success. So at Berkeley, I'm sitting around wondering myself, how am I going to make things work in my life? Because everyone says I'm not going to be successful. Everyone says you're not going to do anything, Mason. I'm not very smart. I just follow smart people. I'm at Berkeley. I'm angry, but I'm noticing some things. You pay attention. The professors are all broke. Every one of us broke. I mean, broke as the Ten Commandments broke. Broke. But the folks who had their names on the buildings were not broke. The people who named the plaza, Sproul Plaza, was not broke. The people who named the College of Law was not broke. I want to learn about those folks, what they have to do themselves. Can you imagine the volume of noise that told me I could not do anything in my life? The loud chorus of people telling me I had no hope at all in my life. Had I listened to any one of them, they would have directed my life. Folks, you're in these chairs right now because you are self-directing your life. And no one can tell you what you cannot do. And I suggest imagine the volume of noise, man. It was just amazing to me. Accepting the truth requires that you act. You have to act. We hate the truth because the truth makes us uncomfortable. We hate the truth. In reality, you have to have enough confidence to things you've done in the past, to face these things facing you right now. There's obstacles. I'm laid in the hospital bed, folks. I had to ask people to help me do everything that you do normally. I could not move my feet. I couldn't turn over. I could do nothing. I'm sitting there looking straight up in the sky, talking about going to law school. It's because of that determination that you all have got here today. You choose your own decisions, but you cannot choose the results of those decisions. You can choose your decisions, but you cannot choose the results of your decisions. You can choose your own decisions, but after you decide, your decisions will own you. You can decide to jump off a building. Your choice, your decision. But once you jump, the decision owns you. Like, why we decide that we're going to take what we have in front of us and run with it? You don't always make your decisions, folks, but your decisions always make you. This time next year, you will end up where you decide to go. I suggest that you reward yourself 50 years from now, 10 years from now. You reward that person. You work for that person. When I got out of Berkeley, I had nothing but ambition. Do we have that video of me on crutches and at the podium? I really want to put that up because I want to show you the difference. I hope we have it in the back. It's a picture of me on crutches, 1971, and at the Berkeley graduation addressing the political science department at Cal 4 years later. Laying there in crutches. I guess we don't have it. So it's because of the decisions I made. It was very easy for me. Well, no, it was very difficult for me to go to American College and enroll in college. I still remember that day. I'm going in there with a cane. Couldn't sit down, I had to stand up. Talk to the guidance counselor, had to stand up, I couldn't sit down, couldn't bend my back. And I want to sign up for school. It's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to do the homework. Had pillows behind my back all night, reading all night, studying all night. Very difficult to go to class in pain or drugs or in pain and can't sit down and walk. We have that difficult task ahead of us, but folks, a few years later, it was very easy to put my hand out and take that diploma. It was very easy to put that in a frame on the wall. It was very easy to go to the Department of Energy and ask them to hire me as a senior contract negotiator. It was very easy 5 years later to have enough business contacts from that experience to stop working and never work again. It was very easy to sit back and take care of my wife, take care of my grandkids, and leave an inheritance for my grandkids. That was very easy. The hard part was doing the work ahead of time. The hard part was facing every objective obstacle I can have. The hard part was saying, I have nothing else to do in my life but waste it. Because, folks, it was hard. At Berkeley, those classes were very difficult. How you get frustrated. You get frustrated. And I would get so frustrated sometimes I want to quit. I gave myself all kinds of reasons why I could quit. My heart was saying, you can't do this. My heart was saying, it's impossible for you to do this. My heart was telling me how difficult the next year is going to be, and the next year is going to be. My heart was saying to me that even if you graduate from Berkeley, nobody's going to hire you. The Veterans Association said that the only job I could do, the VA said the only job I can do was a job that required little or no walking, sitting, or standing. What? I mean, yeah, okay, if I can lay down on the job and sit down sometimes and walk, what kind of job could you, why, my heart is saying, why are you going to school? Why are you doing this? Just sit back. Man, the military took care of me. The military took care of me. I had 5 checks a month coming in. They took care of me. My heart was saying, take the money, sit down, Mason, just relax. Let them take care of you. But my spirit was saying, one day they're going to try to change what they take care of you with. One day they control you now. You're going to wait for a check from the government. You're going to depend on this check coming in. You're going to sit down and think about it. My spirit saying, you can do better. You've already learned how to crawl. You already learned how to walk. Twice I learned how to walk. Twice I could not walk. And now I can't stop walking. Literally, I cannot stop walking. I have to keep moving. So I'm telling you, the obstacles you face in this business require you to be discouraged sometimes. It requires you to doubt yourself sometimes. It requires you to wake up in the middle of the night and say, I can't do this. But your spirit is fearless. Your spirit has no fear. The purpose of fear is to make you stand right where you are. When you wake up at night and you go down the hallway for a glass of water and you hear a noise, you freeze. The fear makes you freeze where you are. It's artificial. It's designed to keep you from going where you need to be out of fear. Now, if you're a heavily armed, trained man with a gun on your hip, that noise makes you go at it. That noise makes you go find out what this is. The fear goes away when you're prepared for it. The fear disappears when you're angry enough to go get it. I'm telling you now, you have hesitation in your life. I had only one choice. I would get discouraged and want to quit college. And know what I would do? I would get up and get in my car, and I would drive to the liquor store 2 blocks away from my home. And I would park my car in the parking lot, and I would see those winos sitting on the corner, philosophizing about the world history, world life. And I gave myself 2 choices. I can either go back and read another chapter, or call that old guidance counselor and see if he still had contact at the shoe factory. I can give up on myself and give up on my dreams and accept the role I had in life. And you can all do that. But what happened to me and what's happened to you is a result of all the problems you came. You know, wisdom comes from the journey, not the experiences along the way. Wisdom does not come from the experiences doing this. It's the journey. The things that come at you, come against you, things you've seen happen to other people. Success is the same way. It comes from things you've gone through. Right now, nobody here, you cannot walk by leaning backwards. You cannot walk. If you step tonight to leave out of here, I want you to stand up and try to lean backwards and walk forward. Try that trick. You have to be facing forward, leaning toward where you're going, and expecting everything in your way to disappear when you get there. It will not disappear until you get there. When I got out of Berkeley, by that time I couldn't drive a car. Not far, because I couldn't move my hips. I had no hip muscles. I mean, crushed by a ton and a half on one side and the steel bulkhead on the other side made that kind of hard to do. My pelvis was broken in multiple places. Couldn't do nothing. Just stand for a while, sit for a while. I had to grab my leg to take it off the gas pedal and put it over to the brake pedal. I had no hip muscles. I had ankles, I could put the gas down, put the brake down, but I couldn't move the leg over, which means I shouldn't have been driving legally. Any cops in here? Yeah. Folks, there's a law of places that I discovered, a law of places. You got to find your place and avoid the place of others. That counselor had a place for me. The coach had a place for me. Melvin Newton had a place for me. Where was my place? Where's your place? Who has a place for you? Who has a place for your great-great-grandkids? You're going to determine their place. And you're going to have other people all around you trying to discourage you because, folks, if you're successful, you're proving I'm just lazy. If you're successful, you're proving I can do it. Don't take the garbage. Don't take the garbage. Because if you compromise on your principle, you don't have any. You're in this thing for a reason. You're in this thing because you got a goal in your heart. You're in this business because you see what it will do for you, but you can't do it for you. You don't love yourself enough to do it for you. You get along. You got to do it for your spouse. You got to do it for your children. You got to do it for your great-grandchildren. You got to do it so that 5 generations from now, when you're long gone, your spouse's kids can stand up and say, yeah, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, he built this. My great-great-great-great-grandmother, yeah, they established this. You have to leave a legacy for people you're never going to meet. You have to leave a legacy for somebody else to take up. You have to blaze the trail so your kids can walk the trail, so your grandkids can own the trail. That's what we're doing here today. I'm 72 years old this month. 50 years ago. Yeah, they gave me a week to live at 21, folks. I'm 72 years old. 51 years ago, someone dropped 1.5 tons on me. And I was told by everybody I knew that I could not do anything with my life. I did not believe them. Do not let anyone tell you. No one knows you like you know you. You have succeeded in everything that you have faced, everything you have faced in your life. But if something happens in adulthood, it's amazing. Adulthood is amazing. You have learned to crawl, to walk, to ride a bicycle, to skate, to a motorcycle. You learned to play basketball. You've learned to conquer everything in your life. And all of a sudden now you can't do nothing. You got to go to work every day and hope that somebody pay you. All of a sudden you stop achieving the next goal in life. What happened? The heart. I want you to be safe. I want you to be still. Everything in life, folks, comes to us because we have gone through the fertilizer. You know, that shipmate, yeah, bless his heart, he dropped all kind of fertilizer on me. He fertilized my life. People are fertilizing on you every day. They dumping the load of fertilizer all through your life. But fertilizer makes the grass grow. The grass grows to get away from the fertilizer. If you don't have any fertilizer in your life, it will not prepare your life. If things does not go wrong for you in your life, you will not grow. The best bush are the ones that have been pruned and clipped and chipped. I don't care if you lost a leg, lost an eye, I don't care. That is an obstacle for you to observe and learn from and grow from. If you don't grow from fertilizer, it will cover you. And every one of us have been fertilized all day, every day. But you look back on your life, if you look back on who you are in your life, you will see that the fertilizer that happened at that moment prepared you to this moment. You have to recognize the harm, the problems coming at you right now are just dumbbells you're lifting up in your arms to convert your mind, your spirit, it's actually going to notify your spirit that you recognize it is fearless. You've gone through it in a marriage. You ask anybody how you stay married 50 years, and they'll start telling you the problems they overcame. They won't tell you about the good times, the birth of my kids, and how great we are to do these things. They will start telling you the problems they overcame together, because every time they faced a problem together and got through the problem together, that became a brick on their foundation. And every problem, another brick, another brick, another brick. So eventually, another problem? We got that. No problem. Nothing can come against that marriage because it's solid on solid bricks, solid bricks. If you don't have the experiences in life of facing defeat, you will not have the courage to go to the next step. So yes, this is not easy. This is not easy. But boy, reach out for the diploma at the end, that was good. So I have a suggestion for you. Create a routine for your business. Create a routine. Have a vision. Now, I'm not sure if we have the picture of the driveway. If we do, we can pull it up. I'm not sure what we have or don't have. Picture of the driveway. I'm a painter. I painted this picture of my driveway when I was in California. And there's a photograph of my driveway that my granddaughter, who's sitting over here, took of my driveway. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? Pretty accurate. The curve is right. Trees are right. Now, the picture was painted 23 years before the photograph was taken. So the trees are a little heavier, a little bigger. But that picture was taken 23 years after the painting. It was 1,800 miles away. It was like 13 years before the house was even built. And I painted that picture before I saw the house. Before I saw the house. If you look at that picture enough, you see a little red dot on the painting. I couldn't decide the little on the road there, a little red. Now, if you had that picture, a photograph blown up, you see at that exact same spot was a sign I had made up. I couldn't figure out what that was. It was a vision I had of my property. It was a vision I had, a dream I had of my property. So I painted that picture, and I decided there, I was going to make a statement there, that little red spot. I couldn't get it in my mind what it was. Today, on that spot in Jefferson County, there's a sign that says, "The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. Welcome to the land of no wants." I have no wants. No wants. I paint that picture before I saw the home. I paint that picture and I put it up to everyone that came to my house saw my dream. My dream. They all knew where I was going, and my kids knew. Everyone knew I'm going here. This is what it's going to look like. I came to Missouri in 2 years, 7 trips to Missouri. I looked at 200 homes. It took me 10 minutes to buy that house. At the driveway. Before it said, this is my home. I'm home. Have a vision and be bold enough to tell everybody about your vision. Be bold enough to put a picture of the wall up. Be bold enough to say what you're going to do your last day of your job. Be bold about it. And let yourself know, let your heart know. I know you're afraid. We're going to go through it anyway. I know you're afraid. It doesn't matter. I know that you're hesitant. It does not matter. We're going to walk. 300 times you're going to fall. It doesn't matter. 301 is great. I'm telling you, 301 is great. We have an old saying in the Navy, live your life anchors up, not anchors down. Sure, anchors up, you may drift in the currents. You may hit the rocks. You may hit the obstacles under the water, but it's a lot easier going through life with anchors up than dragging the anchor behind you. The anchor is either solid on your ship or it's dragging all the obstacles, all the lies, all the deceits, all the things coming against you. You're dragging it through life. You cannot make it anywhere that way. Lift your anchors up. Get your feet off the ground. Turn to your spouse and say, we gonna do this for our great, great, great grandkids. Wouldn't it be great? I don't know my great, 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 great grandmother because she never left me an inheritance. I mean, her great, 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 great grandmama left me a mansion. I know her name. I have a plaque on the wall from Granny. Make sure your great, 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 great grandkids know who you are. Because you've gone through the pains today. You've gone through the obstacles today. You've hung out with people that are going where you're going and been around the bend already. It's going to be a lot easier, folks, for you to do this if you do it as a team. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is really is the difference between a dream and a goal. I didn't dream about walking one day. I had a goal to walk one day. They kept telling me what I couldn't do. You got 2 weeks to live. I couldn't speak. I could whisper, but I couldn't speak. So I could not get the doctor's opinion. I couldn't get his attention. I wanted something I want to tell him very bad. I could not speak. So I reached over by one hand, wasn't bandaged up. By one hand, I reached over the little nightstand by the bed, and I threw everything off on the floor to get his attention. And he came to me, what's the matter? What's going on? And I told that Navy officer something that a sailor should never tell an officer. And I meant it. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you tell me when I'm gonna die? How dare, I got something to do. Kill the white guy. I understand the wrong emotions. Wrong emotions. But nobody knows you like you know you. In your mind, behind your eyeballs, there's this person that no one knows. And you've gone through life failing and succeeding, failing and succeeding. The truth is eternal and unchangeable and does not depend on the flaky ideas of man. No one thinks you can make this thing work but you, and you have to make it work. The fertilizer in your life is good, folks. The fertilizer is good. I moved to Florida now from Missouri because we got this thing called winter. Bless your heart. I'm an African. I like that sub-Saharan weather. Bless your heart. I can't do that. So I moved out of Missouri. I'm out of Missouri down to Florida, and I got an orange tree in my yard. Man, that's nice. To pick my own oranges is nice. But the orange tree needs fertilizer. The orange tree needs pruning. I got to cut off the branches, make it grow, make it healthy. Grass grows to get away from the fertilizer, folks. If you don't understand your principles, you'll never recognize the victory when it gets there. Lay in your heart what the victory is. Lay in your heart what victory is. Do not let your pride, your ego, stop you from trying something because you may disappoint mama. You may disappoint your husband. You may not be able to do this, and you may be sorry because you're going to think you're weak. You cannot feed your family on your ego. You cannot feed your family on your ego. You can't do it. So you have to put your ego aside and go ahead and fail, and fail, and fail. Abraham Lincoln ran for a state rep and failed. Ran for Congress and failed. He failed twice for offices. He failed. Didn't mean a thing to him. I couldn't walk. I failed. I mean, I hated everybody. My doctor was white. My physical therapist. I mean, 5'2", 110-pound nurse breaking my back, breaking my arm, telling me to do this, do that. Oh, I'd slap her. If you're ready for success, folks, if you're ready for it, you will act like you are ready for it because it is ready for you. You're here because you know in your spirit and you know in your heart that your key to success is right here. Now, I've been doing these kind of speeches for decades now. Decades I've been doing this. And I've never seen people go to the very top of this industry without coming to this business, to these meetings. You have to come to these meetings. Now, you need, how would your business do if you had 10 people just like you? Think about it, 10 people just like you. First, they'd all be here, and they'd be growing together. You have to learn the same things, learn the same language, learn the same desires, have to have your whole team on the same goal at the same time. You have to march and march as a team, learn the same words, the same definition, and support each other. That's why I got the 3 books back there. It leads you on these avenues of success. Because if you speak the same language and go for the same goals and encourage each other as these goals come, that is the army marching. And the reason the army marches, because you want to get to the battle at the same time. You want everyone to get to the battle at the same time. You do not want to get to the battle before the tanks get there. You don't want to get to the battle without your ammunition getting there first. You don't want to get to the battle without your food. So you train your army to think the same way. You got different jobs in the Navy, different jobs in the Army, but you got to have everything prepared on the goal, and we all got to get everybody to that goal. You want to arrive at the top with your team, because you expect them to do the same thing you've done to get to where you're going. You have to have a close-knit team of warriors already motivated, educated, and you have to have, as a team leader, a sign up saying, this is where we're going. The driveway is where we're going. This is where we're going. And no obstacle will stop you because you have the spirit in you that now controls your heart. Your spirit is stronger than your heart, but you never exercise it. You don't have you have that goal in mind to do it. So blaze the trail. Do not be afraid of success. Do not be afraid of anyone telling you what you cannot do. You have been lied to enough. You have succeeded in everything you have done. Everything you've done. Everything you have done. So why can't you? You have a history of success. You have a history of overcoming. That's who you are. And all of a sudden with adulthood, you're now saying you can't? Of course you can. That's why you're here. So I'm encouraging you guys this weekend. You cannot, you can empower or you can imprison. You can lose your freedom or lose your master. The battle is not for the seen, but for the unseen. You cannot see the future clearly until you get to the future. So make sure yourself, 5 years from now, who you are, 5 years from now, will look back at you 5 years past and say, good job. Good job. Because now, 5 years from now, you're going to have things in your life that will kill you today. You're going to have things you prepared yourself. Imagine when you couldn't master finger painting, you were 5 years old. If you had the problems at 5 years old that you have today, it will kill you. But you have success, and now there's something you're going to deal with. Wait until you get to this next level in this business, because right now this whole country, this whole nation is waiting for you. Right now, folks, there is nobody on this planet think they can work 40 years for somebody anymore. That dream is gone. Everyone knows that's not a dream anymore, to retire. You can retire broke. They are waiting now to hear your plan. They're eager to hear your plan now. They've been prepared for years. People have been thinking about it, afraid of it, chastising it, not living with it. But today, everyone wants the answer you have for this business. Everyone is set up now waiting to hear from you. You've been trained up, you've been motivated, you've been encouraged. The leadership have shown you where to go, and the whole world is waiting for you to stand up, rise up, and go and rescue them. Are you ready to go? Then let's determine right here, the next time you meet, I'll be here with you. Make sure you bring 10 more people with you. Stay right or be left, because eternity is a long time to be wrong. God bless you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's start off with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for another day for the lost to find you. We thank you, God, for another day for the saints to praise your name. We thank you for being the God of light. We thank you for allowing us to challenge the darkness. And we sit here today, we stand here today to pledge to you that we will always, always bring your light to bear on this dark earth. We thank you for blessing us to come here and to keep us safe when we travel home. And we ask that you open my heart and my mind to tell the people what you want me to say. In the name of Jesus, I thank you, my Father. Amen. I want to thank you, folks. I want to start off by going back to what I said last night and other nights I've been here, and try to explain to you the rest of the story of my injury. I was running around San Diego and I was doing my thing, having fun, and this racist person dropped a ton and a half of steel on me, blah, 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 blah. And then one day I'm sitting around wondering why I was strong, athletic. I was running, wondering why, what happened to me? Why did this happen to me? And God revealed to me why it happened to me. It had nothing to do with this white guy. Zero to do with this white guy. It had to do that God was tapping me on my shoulders for years for something for me to do, and I had no time to do it. I was too busy doing other things. I would get back to you, God. I got to go do this right now. I got to go do this right now. And I tell you, folks, if you don't understand this, if you refuse to do what God wants you to do, if you refuse to go where God wants you to go, you will end up on a beach smelling like fish guts. I had no time. And my father laid me on a slab where I could not move anything. My goal was to be able to move my toe. I could hardly see my toe down my back. I couldn't move nothing. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't eat. I couldn't swallow. I could not talk. And then God was saying to me, you got time now, dude? You busy? Anything you want to do? Can we talk now? I got something for you to do. I still struggled and worked around that and tried to find my way until I began to search. I know if you seek, you will find. But I understand if you're sick, you're really fine. You were fine. So I'm analyzing, trying to figure out what is going on. Why am I in pain and discomfort? Why would I let this guy do this? And I'm on the freeway. I'm analyzing. I'm reading about these disciples. I want to study slavery. I studied Israel. I studied the black folks in Africa. And I want to find out what's going on. And finally, one day it dawned on me really quickly that the only power I had wasn't anger. The only power I had was forgiveness. The only power that you have is forgiveness. When I forgave that white guy, God lifted that 2,000 pounds of hate off of me, and I realized that hatred was heavier than 1.5 tons of steel. The hatred was bending me over. The hatred was making me limp. The hatred kept me up at night. The hatred, that white guy was going about his business. I'm sitting there, word. And God said, when you're tired of fighting me, we got something to do. So I want you to know the real story. The real power is us forgiving. If women forgave the guys who treated them bad, if men forgave the woman who stole from them, if the Bloods forgave the Crips, what would happen if the Jews forgave the Arabs? The only power, the power you have, is the power to you to turn to God and say, I'm going to let you take care of this. I'm not going to let that bother me. So we have to understand our power. We need to use our power. Now, I forgave the white guy, but I probably would not stand between him and 1.5 tons again, because I'm also wise. But I forgave him. So I want to talk today about the people of God, knowing God. I knew God. My grandfather, my father were ministers. We find it very difficult to understand and believe that you could know that you're going against God and still do it. We can imagine knowing this is against the will of God, but I'm going to do it anyway. We can imagine knowing that God wants you to go left and you're going to go right, knowing God wants you to go left. But the Bible is full of stories like this. I mean, the Bible is stuffed with examples of mankind. The heart of man is evil and dark. And even though you're standing in front of God, you will say no to God Almighty himself. And we cannot imagine that. So I'm going to show you today a few examples of the heart of man in the very beginning. You know, you had in Exodus chapter 32, you can get to if you want to, chapter 32, verse 7. In Exodus, the people of God had gone into slavery. They had expected to be released from slavery at a certain time frame. They figured about 400 years, God said, this is going to be over. As it got closer to that 400 years, they were talking about it. They were planning on it. They were looking forward to it. They were praising God. They were praying for this. This is going to happen. I'm going to be free because God said so. They knew it. They knew it. And they saw Moses come before them. They saw the plagues. They saw Pharaoh's son die. They witnessed. They knew God is going to get us free. He's going to get us free. They saw the Red Sea split. And they walked through and turned around and saw Pharaoh's army drown. They knew God was with them. But in verse 7, after Moses went up Mount Sinai to get the law, he left them unattended. Yeah, leaving your kids for the weekend with candy on the table, expecting to still be there when you get back. That's kind of sad. And in verse 7, the Lord said to Moses, he said, go down, your people that you brought. He didn't say my people. They're not my people anymore. They're your people that you brought up out of Egypt. He didn't say he brought them out of Egypt. Your people that you brought out of Egypt have become very sinful. In verse 8, they have quickly turned away from what I had commanded them. They have made themselves a metal statue of a god in the shape of a calf. They have bowed down and sacrificed to it, and they have said, Israel, here is your God who brought you out of Egypt. They had seen the famine. They had seen God's miracle. They had seen the Red Sea split. They saw the walls of water alongside them, folks. They had no doubt in their mind who God was. And a little while after they get on the other side, they say, well, we're going to find another God because this God ain't cool. You can know God and turn your back on God knowing it's God. In Joshua chapter 2, and you're talking about Rahab. Folks, Rahab saw who God was, and she acted like she believed God. Chapter 2, she said unto the men, the spies that came to look at Jericho before they attacked Jericho, the spies that came to check out, and they went to Jericho, Rahab's place of business, I'm sure just to find logistics. I'm sure it's a reason. And the people of Jericho had seen what God had done for a long time. She said to the men, I know that the Lord has given you the land. She knows this is over now. And that your terror has fallen upon us. And all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. We know your God is tough. We know you're coming for us. We know He's going to give you the land. She knew that, and they knew that, she said. In verse 10, she said, for we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt. That was 40 years earlier. They had heard what happened 40 years earlier. And then she said, we came out of Egypt. And she said, and when you came out of Egypt, and what you did unto the two kings of the Amorites, they were on the other side of the Jordan had just split. Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. They said they had seen it, they knew it. That means, folks, that they had to seen the pillar of fire and the tower of smoke walking through the desert. They had to have seen the water from the rock. They had to have seen the manna from the sky only feeding them. They had to see the people of God marching through desert and nobody could touch them. They had to see their own local river split and 1 million folks come through another side. Can you imagine seeing the Mississippi split and 1 million folks come from Illinois? Over here, you think that'd drive you crazy? They had seen it. And then in verse 11, and as soon as we heard these things, our heart did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord, your God. She said, the Lord, your God. He is God in heaven and on the earth. Now, therefore, I prayed. Folks, they knew. So my question to you is this. If they knew, if they had seen what God had done to these people, protecting these people for 40 years, running through their backyard, they had seen the water from the rock, they had seen the man from the sky, you tell me why on earth would you stand on the wall of Jericho to confront God? Why would you stand on the road? Why would you stand in front of him knowing it is God? Their heart had waxed cold. Rahab went crazy. In verse 12, Rahab said, now therefore I pray to you, swear to me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that you may also show me kindness. Rahab's faith caused her to come into the children of Israel, and Jesus Christ was born through her. Part of the lineage. Her faith. But tell me about the guys that stood on the walls of Jericho. See, they knew they're facing God, but they had to do that because of loyalty to their heritage, their family. They stood there and they vanished. Do not be in your life a warrior on the walls of Jericho. Stand defending the undefendable, helping the helpless, and fighting a war on the wrong side of God. Don't be so proud of your heritage, so proud of your school, so proud of your family, so proud of your job that you're going to stand in front of God and offend him and go against him because of the traditions of your family, your friends, and your country and your state. Do not look at God, notice God, and the advance a plan to defeat God. Don't be a warrior on the walls of Jericho, knowing the truth, but defending a lie. Knowing God, yet fighting God, knowing God and fighting God. Don't be that warrior on the walls of Jericho, willing to perish for an idea, a culture, or tradition. We see darkness in this world today. We see darkness in the world today. This is the Old Testament, folks. That's Old Testament. That's all gone now. Old Testament. Surely the people of God now, surely after Jesus, they know God will not fight God. Surely we see what God has done for us because we're enlightened. Do you know that? We're all enlightened. In the New Testament, Jesus came before them. The Messiah they've been looking for, the Messiah that they've been hoping for, the Messiah that they always expected. The religious leaders expected and predicted and talked about Jesus coming, the Messiah's coming. So when he came before them, why did they not recognize him? They were so busy in their collective power, they were more interested in the power that they have. Jerusalem was a very small town. Everyone knew everybody else. In John chapter 12, it talks about what happened right before the Passover, the Passover. In John chapter 12, verse 1, it said, 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. You'd think if Jesus had raised somebody from the dead, a popular person, an important family in a small town, everybody knew about it. Because we went to the funeral. We saw him dead. He was buried, right over there he was buried. And this dude, Jesus, come through, and Lazarus comes out the grave. And you think he stayed in the cemetery? You think he hid out in the cemetery because he didn't want, his family, think they kept quiet about this? They were saying to folks, I'm here. This guy raised me from the dead. My brother got out of the grave. My son raised up out the grave. The family was telling everybody, showing everybody, Jesus Christ has raised Lazarus from the grave, and Lazarus is in Jerusalem now, preaching and teaching and telling everybody, I'm here, I'm up, I am proof. This is Messiah. Verse 2. Here a dinner was given to Jesus in Jesus' honor. Martha served while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table. And in verse 9 it says, meanwhile a large crowd of Jews found out that Jesus was there and came, not only because of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. But the chief, verse 10, so the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus as well. Instead of saying, did he really? Wow, hey, you guys, the Messiah's here. This is the Messiah. This is God's messenger. Instead of saying that, we got to get rid of this dude Lazarus. He's telling folks about Jesus. They're following Jesus now. We don't want that. They're going to stop following us. They're going to stop predicting what we do. They're going to turn. These people knew who God was. These people knew they had preached. The Pharisees had been studying since childhood about him coming. And here he was. They're trying to control the environment, to control the people, trying to control what you think, what you do, instead of controlling how you feel, who you praise. They were trying their best to extinguish the idea of Jesus. So they tried to kill Jesus. In verse 11, here's why they tried to kill Jesus. For on account of him, many of the Jews were going over to Jesus and believing in him. Because of Lazarus, because they grew up with Lazarus. They knew Lazarus. They knew his family. They saw him die. They saw him buried. And he showed up and said, yeah, but. Because of Lazarus, many of the Jews in that city were going over to Jesus. Wow, we can't have that. So if we kill him again, if we make him dead again, maybe they come back to believe the lies we preach every Sunday in the church. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. For account of him, many Jews were going over to Jesus and believing in him. Yet, for the same, many, even among the leaders, believed in him. Many, even among the leaders, believed that Jesus was the Messiah. Verse 42. But because of the Pharisees, because of the leaders, because of the political power they had, because of the position they had in the community, because I was wise, everybody loved me, they would not openly acknowledge their faith for fear they would be put out of the synagogue. Folks, if you're afraid of the synagogue, if you're afraid of your job, if you're afraid of your friends leaving you, fear is not from God. So I don't know what manifests that fear. In verse 43, there's a message to you. If you're fearful of disappointing folks out here, if you're fearful for being quiet about what you see, verse 43 says, for they loved human praise more than praise from God. You have to decide what you're doing and how you're doing it. When you come face to face with God, folks, there's always a choice to make. In this world right now, we see, they said to us, You will never see the people of God go into captivity while they're worshiping God. You will never see them go into slavery praising God. You will never see them standing on God's principles and somebody conquer them. And you will never see them come out of captivity until you see them start to praise God. The praises of God will keep you free. The praises of God will keep you powerful. The praises of God will keep you in line. And they will fall at your feet like Goliath did. Goliath was running around being big and bad and tough, and everybody was seeing and looking how tough he was, how strong he was. They were just looking at him. They were the children of God, and he was blaspheming God. That means he was a dead man. He was already dead. He was already gone. He stood there before the people of God, blaspheming God. And David, busy, because God only calls busy people. He only calls, I don't have time for lazy folks, it's just God. He calls busy people. David on his way to feed his brothers before he go out there and deal with them sheep. He's on his way to feed his brothers in the army. And he see this giant standing before the people of God. He said, has anybody got any rocks? I got to take care of this real quick. I got a minute. The reason David took 5 stones, because Goliath had 4 brothers. He had 4 brothers. See, I'm going to take care of the whole family issue right here. And then I'm going to go back to work. I'm busy. We have to understand God will call you from something or snatch you from something or put you somewhere. You do not want God to put you on your back to get your attention. It is not pretty. So we have a chance now, folks. We have a chance to really, 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 really praise God, because the world looked at us and said, the church is non-essential. And the church said, okay. And then Baal said, that's government. Folks, understand, every problem facing God's people in the Bible came from government. You understand that? Every problem facing God's people came from government. Jesus Christ was born in Bethlehem because his parents had to go pay their taxes. When he comes back, there's going to be a government thing called war going on. Every problem facing you, government is Baal. It is a religion of the darkness. That's why they worship in government. That's why they praise in government. That's why they stand there and manipulate you in government. That is their role. What is your role? To stand up against, to put light on, to defeat, to protect what you have, to act like you believe in the word of God. It's an action word. Don't you stand before Baal and say, okay. Don't you stand before Baal. We were told that we could not praise God in our church. And we said, okay. We were told we couldn't sing his praises. We couldn't hug each other in church. We said, okay, let us know, Baal, we can do this again. We'll get back to making this money. We are told that we were non-essential, but the liquor store was. And we said, okay. Now, folks, I'm here to tell you, the reason we won the civil rights movement was there was enough of us willing to go to jail. We have to stand up. This darkness will only last as long as we take it. So when you come face to face with God, accept him as God. You may lose family and friends. You may lose family and friends. You may even lose everything important to you, but you will gain everything vital to you. When you come face to face with God, act like you believe in him, and he will act like he believes in you. You can't sit back and wait and let God prove himself to you. I know it seems frightening. I know that you all want to be safe, so let me explain to you the safest place to be is in the will of God. That's the safest place to be. In spite of the lies you see, the lies you hear, in spite of the women, the same will whisper in your ear, but. The safest place to be, if you're standing on the word of God, you are standing on solid ground. Perhaps Rahab rested in the will of God, and her entire family was blessed. She recognized the truth and declared it. She went against her culture, her heritage. She went against her friends. She went against the political system. She went against the culture. She ignored CNN, ABC. She said, I'm not going to believe this mess anymore. She said, I've seen your God walk through the doggone desert. I've seen the pillar of fire and the tower of smoke. And we've seen God work the miracles. We saw my local river split up. And we're going to act like we believe in you. And she proclaimed that to the spies. If the spies came to you, what will you proclaim? She did not turn her back on the truth, and the truth saved her. What she found out was that you cannot outgive God. You cannot outgive God. You cannot give him more praises than he can reward you. You cannot act in faith more than he can reward you. You cannot outgive God. It is a great, great competition to lose. If you're going to lose something, lose trying to outgive God. In your business, try to outgive God. In your marriage, try to outgive your spouse. If you're dealing with your kids, try to show them the grace in life. You try to outgive God Almighty. He will walk with you. He will show you. Understand the power of darkness, folks. Darkness does not exist. Darkness is the void of light. So when you show up with the light, darkness must disappear. It cannot survive the presence of light. It will not negotiate. Well, I was here first. It will not negotiate. But if you don't turn your light on, it will dominate you. When the government stood in front of you and said anything about you and your God, they should have been silenced. How dare you even mention my God's name? You got folks, you got men that can't even tell what gender they are. You gonna talk to me about being, are you crazy? You deserve my name. God is waiting for us to act like we believe him. My ministry is Jesus Caucus. You know, Paul was called to the Gentiles. I was called to government. And they get very nervous when I show up. They get very nervous because I bring the light. I don't have any fear of government. I have fear of disappointing God. I had it turn and fall on me before. He will not have another chance to do that to me again. When they came to Israel, when they came to the promised land, why would they expect anything but giants to be there? God had given them the best land in the area. They were gone for over 400 years. So for 400 years, the strongest dudes were trying to keep control of the land. It was the best land around. So why would you not expect me to get home after 400 years? Why would you not expect the biggest, baddest dudes there? Victory is yours when you show up, folks. In your business, in your government, in your personal relationship, you have to bring God first to it. You have to study the Word of God and find out what he wants you to do, and then you have to go and do it. So I'm going to leave you with this today. You cannot achieve what God desires for you. You cannot receive what God desires for you until you achieve what God requires of you. God bless you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.